this last week, I got the privilege of sitting with Eric, who we heard his story before. And his story has been fascinating. Remember, he's the one who flew all the way to Sri Lanka twice. And the process of those 2 trips was not just the process of Eric's undoing, it was the process of Eric's remaking. It was the means that God used to draw him back to himself. And we heard in his story that in the process of these trips that God reveals himself to him, that Eric comes home finally to Jesus, and that he finds peace for the first time. He finds God's sovereignty resting over his life for the first time. And then the story ended. And I go, well, then what happened? And I didn't know the rest of the story, so I have to email Eric. And I go, Eric, we need to meet because I have no idea what happens next, and I'm going to need to know what happens next. So we sit down for coffee, and I go, okay, what's the rest of the story? Like, what actually happened? He goes, well, it's funny because, I come back from this place, and I get to know God, and I finally encounter peace, and then I find that I'm a total wreck, right? I don't know what to do. Just like me and you, we wouldn't know what to do. And so Eric's looking in his life. He can't get the images of the people who are in need out of his mind, and he's like, Lord, what do you want me to do? And in the process of him wrestling around with this question, thinking, maybe I should do something. I don't know if I should do something. Maybe I should do something. One day as he's closing his computer, this song comes on the radio that he didn't press play on. And it's a song that was given to him by those guys from IBC several months before. And it just perfectly taps what God has been saying to him. You ever had that happen to you? And the song said, now that I have seen, I am responsible. Faith without deeds is dead. And Eric knew, all right, got to go back over there. So he flies back over to the other side of the world and he re-engages with this people in need. And he starts this organization called Hope for the Silent Voices. And it brings attention and resources to the neglected, to the disadvantaged, to the discarded in that society. He does everything from hope and help and education. And the bulk of Eric's work right now, the bulk of what he does is rescuing child victims of sex trafficking. That's his job. And I got to tell you, as I sit across from him, I realize this is not easy for him. It is emotionally, spiritually, physically taxing for him. It's frightening what he's doing. But it's what he can do. He realizes there are great risks in what he's doing. He has lost people that he's grown to love. There are all kinds of dangers in his work, but he realizes this is what I can do. God's uniquely wired me, enabled me to do this thing. And so I go and do it. Like Mary, he does what he can. And you know what's funny about Eric's story? When I'm sitting there next to him and I'm listening to him talk about what this is really like, I cannot help but realize there is life bubbling up in him because of this.